Alright, so today on Northside Custom RC, we're going to be doing some advanced servo adjusting. Dialing in the endpoints of the servos to make them perform perfectly together. I started noticing that, and I used to always think this was the sticks, but I noticed that when you go up and down during the travel, the two sides are not always the same, and it becomes an issue when you got like a really dropped lowrider, because they'll actually pick up one of the wheels. And watch this. So if I bring the front up here, see how the wheel goes off the ground there? And if you notice, on the RC, the servos are not exactly pointed in the same direction. But if you go all the way down, servos are perfectly together. You go all the way up, servos are perfectly together. So the endpoints are good, but for some reason, as the RC is traveling along the servo range, they're not perfectly matched up. So today, we're gonna fix that. But this is some advanced servo adjusting, so you really gotta be comfortable with your endpoints, and you gotta be comfortable with pulling the servos out of the RC to make adjustments and then putting them back in and rechecking your endpoints. It is a lot of work, but at the end of the video, we're gonna have the two servos going the exact same the same angle the entire range, so that there's no lopsidedness. It's just not right. So we're gonna make that perfectly match so they travel the same amount, they're at the same exact angle at all times during the travel range, and they're gonna just work a lot better together. So with that, let's get into it. Now, like I said, at first, I really just thought it was down to differences between the two switches on the controller. Maybe they're not perfectly in sync with each other, so I just thought that was most likely it. And that, you know, if you compensated with the angle you got the two sticks on, you'd actually be able to, you know, sort of keep it leveled out. But I always thought that I just thought there was something not right about that. So then after building the radical hopper, what I done on the back end is that I put the two servos mixed to one stick. So it's either there's no three-wheeling, they just go up and down together. What I noticed is that it was still doing that. So even though the two sides are fully connected together, endpoints are the same, they were still traveling lopsided. So it wasn't actually the two sticks that was the problem. It was something with the signal going to the servos, or how the servos were set up, that was causing this problem. So as you can see here, I got them both set on the one stick, and you can clearly see they are not moving in sync with each other. It's making this wheel prop up, and I do not like that. So I figured out how to fix this problem, and it comes down to the center point of the servo. So like usually when it comes to a steering servo, you put the servo horn on at the dead center point, and then from there you adjust both endpoints. But what we've been doing is we've been like moving it to an endpoint, putting the servo horn on there, and then making our adjustments from that point. But that's not actually the best way to do it. What we're gonna do today is we're gonna fix that, but it does involve pulling the servos out of the RC so you can really see and match them perfectly together, because when they're in the RC, they're so far apart from each other, you really can't see if they're perfectly aligned throughout the entire travel of the stick. So we need to pull them out just to make sure that when we make this adjustment, we're getting them perfectly centered, and then when they go back into the RC, they're gonna be working identically together. So let's get into that. First, I'm gonna pull these out from the RC so you can look at them on the bench as they rotate through the travel range. And once we get the servos off the car, we can really see what the problem is. So top side, well, this will be drop down and then raise suspension. See, they look like they're perfectly working together, but they're not. So when you go, now you can really see this much easier with the two sticks mixed together. That's why to make these adjustments, we're gonna do the mixes to make these two work off one stick. Because, I mean, I always really just thought I didn't have the two sticks at the same point, but that's not what the case is. So look at what happens when we go to the center. And this is the two servos mixed on one stick. So center point, they are way off. Now notice from this point to this point, the left side is faster than the right side. And then from this point to this point, the right side is faster than the left side. But they end up at the same point. Center is totally off. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fix that. So just again, to go over the mix settings that we're gonna use to make the two servos work on one stick so we can really dial them in together. We go into the mix settings and it's gonna be, hold on, mix 1, 100, 100 plus 50 for channel 4, master, 3, slave. And then channel 2 is gonna be 3, master, 4, slave. Same settings, 100, 100 plus 50. See, these are the two that we got to use. So as you see right now, independent sticks, we got side to side motion. Still works on the hop switch. And then once we turn these two on, it's going to be all on one stick. This way we're able to really dial those two servos in together perfectly. And then once we're done, we just turn them off again. And then yeah, they're back to independent. Simple as that. So we don't have a good center point. So when we get the servos right to the dead center, as you can see here on the stick, dead center, those two servos are not lined up. I don't like that. So the way that I'm gonna fix this is, first off, what we're gonna do is we're gonna equalize the settings in both directions. So if you go to your endpoint, hold on. So if you look at my endpoints here, you notice that the servos that I have the rear on are the 3rd channel and the 4th channel. So we've got 87 and 103. So the 103's got more set travel, and then 87 is a lower set travel. So you can see that the servo is not centered correctly. It's traveling more in one direction than the other. And it's the same thing with channel 4, just going the other direction. So yeah, there it's the high side that's traveling more and the low side that's traveling less. So this is what's causing the variation. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna center the servo horn properly onto the servo when the stick is dead center. And we're also going to center the setting for the channel. So if we got 87 and 103, if you combine those two together, that's 190. So that means our full travel range is 190. We basically need a setting of 95, 95 to have that dead center. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this adjustment to the servo on this is gonna be channel 4, this is gonna be channel 3. So I'm gonna make the changes on the controller over here, and you're gonna notice the endpoint's gonna shift over here. So whichever direction the servo horn is gonna shift with the adjustment, I'm gonna counter that by taking the servo horn off and moving it over a gear and trying to see if it lines up as close as possible to where our original travel set was. So in order to do that, we go to channel 4 and we're gonna put this to 95-95. So it's moving the servo horn in this direction. So we're gonna have to move the servo horn back in that direction. So we'll go to 95. And now the other side, 95. Oh, I gotta put this one up. All right. So now, as you can see, the servo horn is further this way. So I'm gonna take it off here and put that up a gear tooth. Oops. Get that on there. Try and getting it as close as possible to that one there. It actually looks pretty damn good, huh? Let's get a close look on that. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. And both sides. So yeah, we've got the same travel range in here, but the settings are equalized on the channel. Hold on. The settings are equalized on the channel, 95-95. Let's see what it looks like in the dead center. It's closer. It's a lot closer. But it's still not perfect. It's closer though, but it's still not perfect. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the same thing we just did on this one here, but we're gonna do it to channel 3. All right. Going to channel 3. I'm gonna put this to 95-95. Okay, so we have it at 95-95. Looks like one this way. Okay. That's close, but we have the closer to original setting on channel 4. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna adjust the sub trim on channel 3 until it matches channel 4. So, as you can see here, we got those at 95-95. Go ahead and save that. Now I'm gonna go to sub trim. I'm gonna go to channel 3. I'm gonna try and bring that to the same as channel 4. Other way. Okay, that looks very much the same. Let's go with dead center stick. Oh, look at that. Almost there, almost there. I'm gonna do a little bit more adjusting on number 3. Oh, there we have it. How does that look for endpoints? Let's see here. Oh yeah, that's nice. So we have dead center stick fully equalized. We have the down and the up fully equalized. Now, if either one of these sides needs a little bit of an adjustment, like it's not 100% on the endpoint because we did do a lot of shifting around here, from this point on, when you put it in the RC, to adjust the side that you need to adjust the endpoint of, all you do is adjust the center point. So if you adjust the low side, because you notice, oh, it's a little bit going too high, servo's going too far up. If it's going too far up on this side, it's going to be not going down far enough on this side. So you just adjust the center point until it's going to the right angle, and then it should be properly matched on the other side. Look at that, that is just so perfectly in line. And so we did have the sub trim for channel 3 tweaked just to match that up. Dead center, oh, it's just so perfect. Look how the travel speed is the same both sides the whole way. That is perfect. Hop switch, right on the money. So I'm gonna go ahead and screw this back together, put in the RC, and if there's any small adjustments to make, I'm only gonna do them on the sub trim just to get it to line up properly. And as you can see, our endpoints are perfectly lined up. 95, 95, 95, 95, boom. So yeah, with that, let me just go ahead and put this back in the RC, and we'll just see if those, we need to tweak those endpoints a little bit. All right, so getting them back into the RC, they are slightly off, so I'm just gonna make the adjustment on them. So this one here is number 4. You go to sub trim, channel 4, and now I just adjust the endpoint to where it's supposed to be. No, wrong way. All right, perfecto. And now I do the same thing to channel 3. All right. So now they're both the same on the upside. Let's check the downside. Ah, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The two are working. That is so nice. No lopsided wheel lifting up. So now I got my 2 endpoint settings. Go ahead and save that. And that's it. So we have still both mixed to 1.6. So if you want to separate them, we go into our mix settings and we just turn off the 2 custom mixes that we made. Off, off, save it. Now we have the 2 sides independent again, and they shouldn't, oh God, it's so good. Even with just using the 2 sticks, it's so much easier to keep them to nicely together. That is how you really dial that sucker in. And that is that when it comes to really making your endpoints perfect. All right, so I'm also going to go into one other detail about the mix settings. I noticed that some of the cars that came out after the Monte Carlo, so it really depends on the firmware. Some of these controllers, in order to have the 2 front servos work on the hop, sorry, not the 2 front servos, but 3 and 4. Usually they're in the back. So a lot of times if you have a Monte and you're using the sticks and everything works fine, but when you use the hop switch, only one side goes up. That's because of a mix setting. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you that. So mix setting number 4. Usually it comes at 100, 150 or something like that. I'm not sure. But the way that it comes makes the sticks have a little bit of a dead zone. So in order to ensure you don't have a dead zone on any of the controllers that have that Monty feature to them, what you do is you put all those settings to 0. So this is the mix setting that you want, so that these two sticks work on the hop switch together and not lopsided. So see what happens when I turn the mix setting off. So 4, off, and watch what happens. So if you remember that with the Monte Carlo, it's basically the mix setting needs to be channel 4, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, on, save, and they work together again. So with that, I really hope the video helped you get your endpoints set up exactly how you want them. And yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.